Welcome back to the show where we complain about our favorite teams every week. It seems like it's becoming more and more of a complaining episode, isn't it?
To say the least.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to get into the Bears game. Unfortunately, it seems like the Bears played the Dallas Cowboys that everybody thought would be. You know, they finally had their coming out game. I mean, Dak didn't play good in week 1 against Tampa, and he played average against Detroit last week. But this week, 49 points, six touchdowns offensively, 1 defensive touchdown. It seems like the Bears got unlucky and played the team that everybody thought Dallas was.
And I think the one person that might hate the Bears' performance more than Bears fans might be Ezekiel Elliott, because to be honest, I think Pollard might be sending him on his way out of town.
And see, Pollard, I always thought Pollard was just as good of a running back as Elliott. And Elliott's 6-7 years into the league, and credit to him, he's still, one of the top running backs. But who would you rather have, a 28-year-old running back or a 23-year-old running back? They're
Pollard
at the same level. Yeah.
It's weird too that they said in that game that Pollard had a 3 touchdown game, and Ezekiel Elliott has never had a 3 touchdown game in his career, and that shocked me because I was like, well, really? Even in his prime, he never had a 3 touchdown game.
And it's hard to realize, but then it's kind of like, okay, I can kind of see it because 3 touchdowns in one game is actually really hard.
Yeah.
I kind of knew that the game would be like, I assumed that we would lose. Straight up. I think I covered it last week. The defense was just going to overwhelm our offense. I was surprisingly surprised. I was surprised by our offense and how they were able to play against the number 2 ranked defense. I was shocked at how bad our defense was. Like, I knew we'd have some struggles because they got a good offense. If Dak plays up to his potential, which he did, it would be a rough game. I did not expect almost a 50 burger to be dropped on us. So.
No, and I mean, to both of our points, it just seemed like the Cowboys could throw all over the Bears. It felt like they could run all over the Bears. Yeah, that was kind of shocking because it seems like all year the Bears' defense has really been one of their strengths, along with the run game, of course. But yeah, I don't know, non-existent in this game.
So I don't remember exactly, but we're ranked one of the top passing defenses in the NFL, but we're ranked one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And
I don't know how that feels.
Huh?
I don't know how that feels. the Packers, literally, that's us to a T. We have like the number 1 ranked pass offense and like the 28th ranked run defense.
But credit to Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for Dallas, because he targeted Jalen Johnson as our number 1 corner, and they targeted Kindle Vildor, which is like our slot or number 2 or number 3 corner, for most of the first half. And Kindle Vildor against Michael Gallup, was just kind of, an easy target, right, constantly getting 15 yards every completion. Which, credit to them, they picked apart our weaknesses. Bad teams have pretty glaring weaknesses, and ours is Kindle Vildor in the secondary. And then, having nobody on the defensive line that can stop the run is also going to make you lose a lot more. Defensively, it was kind of a shit show, like I expected. Offensively, you're giving me a look, man.
What are you going to say?
I think Justin Fields is the real deal.
Oh boy.
I knew you'd say that. Okay, so let me just let's all look back on last year's draft class in terms of quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, who's the guy in Houston? Exactly. Yeah. But all these guys have Zach Wilson, forgot about him. All these guys have meaningful reps. And it seems like if you look around the league and look at these quarterbacks, these second-year quarterbacks, which one of them is playing their ass off? Justin Fields. why does Justin Fields get so much shit from the media and the fans? He jumps over Micah Parsons on that fumble, and that's what everyone's talking about. Colin Cowherd, Shannon Sharp, all these guys on NFL Network are talking about, whoa, you didn't touch him. Okay, keep in mind that he didn't fumble the ball. That was David Montgomery. And why is nobody talking about the fact that Trevor Lawrence threw the game-sealing interception against the Broncos to lose the game? Why is nobody talking about Zach Wilson throwing 3 awful interceptions against New England? Why is no one talking about that Mac Jones has regressed significantly and is at risk of losing his job to Bailey Zapp? Why is nobody talking about that? But second, Justin Fields makes any kind of mistake, media's on him.
I think it's because of his start of the season. I think people pretty much have Justin Fields written off as a bust at this point. And anytime he plays good, people are more focused on the bad. I will say I do think this line of thinking is a little bit of a fallacy, just because there's no guarantee that anybody from that draft class is actually any good. It's like all these quarterbacks could be out of the league in 3 years. I don't know, man. It depends on what you're looking for, I think, in a quarterback. I think that if Bears, and the one thing I've always heard the Bear fans talk about, we want our first 4,000-yard passer in a season, yada, 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 yada. Well, I'll tell you right now, that is not Justin Fields. I don't know if Justin Fields could get 200 passing yards if he freaking tried. And I know he's gotten it before, but it just seems impossible for this man to throw over 200 passing yards, which is honestly pretty much like, I don't know if it's NFL average, but kind of like the bare minimum of a quarterback getting having a game. It's just getting like at least 200 passing yards. Like you'll see a quarterback in a loss get 380. But, I will say he's very good at scrambling. Sometimes it's weird because it's like he's good at scrambling and at the same time not very good at evading sacks. It's kind of odd. But I don't know. I mean, if there's one thing that I got to say about the game yesterday, he got lucky and he capitalized. But that roughing the passer call when he threw that lame duck interception towards the end of the second half was an egregiously bad roughing the passer call. And then the next play he throws a dart and it's actually a pretty damn good pass. But he got bailed out, and that should have been an interception.
Okay, you can't say that. You can't make that point and say that it only happens to Justin Fields. Every quarterback has that. I'm just glad it finally happened in our benefit for once.
But see, you can't complain about it one week, and then when it happens to you, be like, yes, thank you. No, we should all still be upset that it's happening at all because it's ruining the league. You could argue too that because the Bears scored that touchdown at the very end of the half, it kind of gave the Cowboys a little bit more urgency, which forced Dak into throwing, and that caused the interception, which gave the Bears another 3 points. It's a pretty big swing, and I think that if Fields throws an interception, the game goes a different way, just in terms of maybe Fields' production. But, I mean, credit where credit is due, because that next throw he threw was pretty damn good. And that's one of the only times that I've really seen him, throw a dart with good coverage, and it's like, hey, that was like perfect throw, perfect catch. Like it looked good, but it's few and far between with him.
The only time you've seen him throw is that one touchdown. He had 3 dropped touchdowns. The one to Velus Jones, he had the guy drift all over him, catch the ball, went right through his hands at like the 8-yard line.
That was the only completion.
Huh?
That was the only completion.
Yeah, but you're saying that he can't that's the only throw, the throw to N'Keal Harry after that roughing the passer call. You said
that was the only one that connected. I mean, drop passes happen a lot.
And that's what I'm saying. Like he had 3 dropped touchdown passes, potential dropped touchdown passes in that game. So you give him somebody if you look at Trevor Lawrence and you look at Zach Wilson, he actually has guys to throw to, young guys and guys that are, veterans, but he has actual receivers. We have Dante Pettis, N'Keal Harry, Darnell Mooney's like the only good one. And then we have a 25-year-old rookie in Velus Jones who's dropped more balls than he's caught. You give Justin Fields any kind of receiving threat, and you watch him throw for 250 or 300 yards. I guarantee it.
That's an if-then statement, man. And I don't know. I just feel like what I've seen, he's good enough to keep you in games. I don't see this guy being consistently good enough for an entire season to get you on a deep playoff run and win you a Super Bowl. It's his second year. So, I mean, he still has a long way to go,
Mhm.
but he just doesn't seem to have that some QBs have. It seems like he's kind of struggling in some ways. Like, I don't know. Like, it still feels like he's too quick to run.
Justin Fields is the reason this offense is scoring points. They're not scoring in spite of him. They're scoring because of him. Look at Zach Wilson. He's a terrible quarterback. He's trying to be Russell Wilson, prime Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson back there, running around 20, 30 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's not. He's throwing one of his interceptions was he was running to his right near the sideline and goes to throw it out of bounds, misses the sideline completely and throws an ugly interception.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that.
Well, again, though, I don't think this is the right way of thinking. It can be a reality where Zach Wilson and Justin Fields are both just not very good quarterbacks. There's no, just because Fields is struggling, that doesn't mean the other ones are shitting off. I think that a lot of these second year QBs are struggling.
Well, my point was just the Bears offense is scoring because of Fields. Meanwhile, in New York, they're winning games in spite of Zach Wilson, and they're winning games in spite of Trevor Lawrence. Like Trevor Lawrence hasn't played that great, and neither has Mac Jones. Like I said, he's at risk of losing his job to a rookie 4th-round pick. None of those guys are the reason their teams are winning or their offense is looking successful. But Justin Fields is that Bears offense. You got to.
For yesterday, I could see that. But I got to disagree, man. I mean, your guys' offense is your run game. Khalil Herbert, David Montgomery. I mean, that's your guys' offense. I mean, you guys have one of the best run attacks in the game. I mean, you look at the stats throughout the year, the thing that's keeping you in games and scoring you guys points is your run attack, not Fields. I mean, I guess when he's running.
Well, so here's Fields' stats. You got a 120 QBR, 17 of 23, 151 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns. Add the rushing yards, 8 rushes, 60 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. That's nearly 220 yards total and 3 total touchdowns.
But what happens with running quarterbacks, man? They get figured out quickly. And then they eventually get forced to stay in the pocket and let's see what you got when you throw the ball. And he's going to have to eventually be a good thrower. What good running quarterback has made it past 30 and still been good?
How old was Cam Newton when he shit the bed?
Man, like he's gonna have to get some other tools, man. Otherwise, you're gonna have this window of 2 or 3 years of incredible Justin Fields play, and I don't even know, because I don't know, even the Lamar Jacksons of the world can still sometimes have a good passing game, And I get Lamar Jackson's had more time, and Fields needs more time, and the Ravens are also a much better football team than the Bears. But I don't know, man. It's just these running quarterbacks, they end up kind of exposing their hand too much. And that hand is the fact that they can run. And I just think the more that teams see this, the more that teams realize, okay, we have got to keep a spy on Fields all game long to make sure that this man does not run out of the pocket, because that's where he gets dangerous, because he is dangerous when he runs out of the pocket. Force him to throw the ball, and we'll see if he sinks or swims. I mean, that's what's going to have to happen.
Mm-hmm. Which I agree. I do think he runs too much. And every time he does take off, I'm either like, oh God, yes, go, 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 because he'll take off for 25 yards. Or he'll run to the sideline, and instead of throwing the ball away, he'll take a 1-yard sack by running out of bounds. He's still got a lot to learn. Yeah. And I'm hoping that, year 3 comes along, if he survives year 2 with all the hits he's been taking. Year 3 comes along, get him a solid offensive line, get him a receiving threat to throw to, and hopefully he has kind of like a Josh Allen, Tua, and Jalen Hurts type of resurgence in year 3.
And it's going to take 2 things. It's going to take a better offensive line, but it's also going to take better awareness in the pocket. Mm-hmm. And the one play that I will highlight for that is that 2-point conversion. How do you not see this man bearing down on you? I mean, he's coming at you right in the middle. He is right
in the middle. That was the left end.
It looked like it was just he was looking this way, and the guy just came right, just straight at him. And I just don't understand how you can't sense this guy bearing down on you at all. Like, it wasn't even like last second he tries to like, it was just like this and it gets hit like this. Like, it was like he literally did not sense him coming at all. Like, there's a give and take here. Yeah, the Bears offensive line has given up a lot of sacks. Fields is not, and that's what I'm saying is weird. I've never really seen a guy who's so good at scrambling and running also be kind of bad at evading sacks, because usually that's like the key. Oh, the scramblers, they're really hard to tackle, they're really hard to sack. They can scramble out of pressure and get open. It's like Fields can scramble well, but at the same time he just can't. It seems like he just cannot get away from sacks.
And see, referring to that play, that was confusing to me too, because that guy was just had unabated to the QB, and I'm
Right.
wondering if that was a missed block or a miscue on the offensive line, because
No
that guy
doubt.
was lined up as a defensive end.
And
He
no
definitely
doubt was
should
that a
have been.
miscue.
Yeah.
Definitely a missed blocking assignment. But even so, typically when you're about to get sacked, somebody messed up somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to have the awareness to get rid of that ball, and not just get absolutely drilled.
Bears are 3-5 now. We play Miami next week. Before the season, like I thought that would be, a toss up, but now I'm leaning more towards Tua and the Dolphins. That offensive, that's a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like every week, Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are like both in the top 5 in receiving yards. We're gonna be tested in the secondary, and I can tell you that Kindle Vildor and maybe Jaquan Brisker are gonna get torched several times.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's gonna have a feast.
Well, Jalen
You know what I like
Johnson,
about Waddle? Did you see his touchdown celebration? I don't know if he's been doing that his
it's the
entire
Waddle,
career,
dude. It's
but
one of the best.
that had me cracking up. I was like, man, at least you like own up to your last name. That's perfect.
Jalen Johnson's going to be shadowing one Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, and then Tua should just go with whoever Jalen Johnson is not covering, because that guy's going to be wide open almost every play. Defensively, they got Xavier Howard and Jalen Phillips. I'm not really sure. They don't really have any other big name, big star quality players on that team. I'm sure they got some good players, but they're definitely not Dallas. So hopefully our offense can have, another solid outing. But I still think that Miami's going to take the win, and we'll end up 3-6, which is good for our offseason plans.
That is true. If I have to pick, I think the Dolphins will probably win. I just think they're the better team overall. I mean, there's really not too much to say.
Well, that's about it for me ranting about my team again. If you enjoy this content and you like us arguing about the Bears and Packers, subscribe, hit the like, and thanks for watching.
Go Dolphins.